So we're going to go ahead and talk about introductions for a few minutes because this is a part of the paper or a part of the essay that sometimes mystifies students and they're not quite sure what to put other than their thesis statement. So here you can see this diagram that we've got. And basically it breaks it down part by part as to what's supposed to go in here. So there are 4 different parts, okay? So the first part is the hook. Now, something that's really important, please do not use a dictionary definition as your hook, because that's something that people have done over and over and over again. You want to do something that's new and kind of fresh if possible. One of my favorites is a shocking statement or some kind of a statistic or something like that, something that's going to really show what it is that you're about to talk about. You could use a famous quote, but be careful with those too, because sometimes those get overused, and you want to make sure that it relates really well if you do choose a quote. And then something else that you could use is an analogy or metaphor. So you could make some kind of a comparison between what it is that you're about to talk about to something that's kind of unusual. Maybe make some kind of an unusual but apt comparison, okay? Something that fits. So after you have your hook, just a sentence, right? Over here it tells you how many sentences per you're supposed to have. Then you need a bridge, okay? And a bridge is that sentence or just part of a sentence that leads into the summary, all right? So for us, we're doing an argument paper, right? So you want to identify the issue or the topic. So in the case of the one that we're writing right now, it is about Confederate monuments. So just briefly give us one sentence that says something about Confederate monuments. All right. And then next up is summary. And if you notice, this is where you've got more space in this triangle, right? You want to have 2 to 3 sentences, not more than that gives us some background information on this topic or on this issue. You want to imagine like your reader knows basically nothing about this issue. So you're going to tell them a little bit about it. You're going to say maybe how it got started. Where did these things come from? In the case of our topic of Confederate monuments, you might even go back and tell us a little bit about the Civil War, maybe, and how these monuments came to be. Like, who are these people anyway? Just in brief, though, so you got to choose carefully. Now, this is kind of where that notebook page 32 that we started, that's where this comes into play. Because you know how in some of those sources it would say things like, oh, there's 1,500 Confederate symbols that are in existence around the United States today. You might have looked at that source from the Southern Poverty Law Center and gone, oh, there's some really interesting facts about where they're located and when they were put up and that kind of stuff. That's what you could use in your introduction. That would be pretty cool. You could also use some of your background knowledge that you have on the Civil War. So I just put in a couple of very basic facts, okay? But obviously, you guys know a lot now, so you could talk about some of that. And then you could also mention how these monuments are an issue again anyway. Why are we talking about this still? What is it that's happened recently, in recent history, in recent years, that has made this such a big issue? So basically, on this page, you want to make sure you're capturing what information have you gotten from sources that describes the issue and provides background. You can use that in your introduction, and then also perhaps in other parts of your paper too, but this page is especially helpful towards your introduction. Okay, so after you've given your summary, then you're going to give us your thesis. Now here it says 1 sentence. I would say 1 to 2. Sometimes you can have a 2-sentence thesis, and that's okay. And just in case you need to remember how to form your thesis statement, well, I did another video that showed how to do a thesis statement with topic, plus your opinion or assertion, plus your reasons why. That's going to give you your thesis statement. Okay, if you need some practice on that, watch that other video. It may be helpful to you. Okay, and that is basically how you write an introductory paragraph. That's the setup for it, guys. So go ahead and practice. What will your hook be? What will your bridge be? So just 1 sentence, right? That leads into the summary. What will you say to summarize this issue? And then, what is your thesis statement going to be? This diagram comes from Laura Randazzo.